Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you praising and thanking you for all the wonderful blessings that you've given us. Father, we raise up the family of John Miller and John Miller as he goes through gone through his surgery, and as he recovers. Heal him, Lord, and bring him back so that he can finish and do your will as he does what he needs to do for the county. We lift up the family of our colleague who's been around forever. We just lift her up and her family. It's such a tragic loss for our community. We lift up our community as we mourn and say goodbye to Marty Randall. Father, I ask that you be with our county. I ask that you be with our police officers, our first responders. I ask that you be with all those that are working to help those that need help with addiction. Be with our county, Lord, and protect us. And I pray a hedge of protection around our county, Lord. Guide and direct us and help us to do your will. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Almost there.
You have 2 opioid disbursements.
All right, before we get started this evening, I will definitely say it will not be the same looking over in that seat and seeing that smile on face of Marty, so thank you for that, Diane, tonight, and she's definitely in all of our hearts for many days and years to come.
You wanna hand me the ordinances?
First up on our agenda will be cease restricted opioid settlement disbursement. How are you, man?
I'm good, how are you all?
Good.
There's a
What's the ordinance number?
stack.
It will be 51.
What am I doing with this? There's just copies for everybody.
Where are we putting the IRAC on the agenda?
It will be, I've actually got it after the EMA. We could move it up if you want to amend the agenda.
Take one of this.
Okay,
Community corrections.
Like I said, the early childhood strategic plan will be moved to September.
Dylan, what are these? Oh, these are just extra. These are other copies.
Oh, okay, so what we have,
Yeah, you should have. Hold on, how'd you print these? Oh, so in 3 different documents? Okay,
Oh,
okay,
I
that's
got
what it is. Okay,
Yeah, so that's the written proposal.
okay.
The spreadsheet is our grant. Yeah,
There. We did.
this is the 95,000.
Alright, so what you have is our report with what we did with the opioid settlement funds last year, and then in addition to the current ask. So our current ask is, there's a couple of different facets to it. So we were asking for additional funding to grant all requests, so that's that spreadsheet that you have. And so all of our funding requests are in the areas of prevention, treatment and intervention, and then justice and law enforcement. And so those all are areas to prevent or provide interventions regarding substance use disorder within the county, and those are all county organizations. There's nothing outside of the county. The next piece of our request is the bereavement support program. So in that stack of papers that you just got, there's a job description. So you will have social workers providing clinical interventions. So we will have 6 different, both school districts will have somebody that can provide the curriculum, both community mental health agencies, and then 2 social workers within the county that will be able to provide grief support groups at a clinical level. And then on top of that, we will have a certified peer recovery specialist that will be able to provide the logistic pieces of loss. So whenever someone loses a loved one and they need help with accessing housing or accessing food or getting a death certificate, that certified peer recovery specialist would be able to help them with those things. And so that's what that job description posting is for. So our total request is $95,944.88, kind of an on number. But part of that is to fund the grant request. It's $15,000 to train 6 facilitators in this curriculum. And that's the only evidence-based grief curriculum that exists. The other is to pay for part-time social workers to be able to do this free of charge in the community. So the community mental health agencies and the schools will be able to bill for those services. We want there to be a community group that's free for participants that won't cost. And so part of that would be not billing insurance. So the other is $45,000 to hire the peer navigator, the certified certified peer recovery specialist. So are there any questions?
Sounds like a pretty overall program where you're hitting multiple areas. Providing much needed service for our county, I think, in my opinion. With that, I would read that we're looking at ordinance 2024-51, and it's an ordinance for an additional appropriation coming from the restricted opioid settlement to cease in the amount requested of $95,944.88. And with that, I would ask for a motion.
I so move.
Diane has a motion on the floor.
Second.
Jonathan White with a second. EMS with an interruption. And, any questions or comments from council? Nope. All in favor of the additional appropriation? 6-0, no opposed. So, we gotta sign these now or later.
We can sign them
Go ahead and
later.
sign
You
them.
wanna know? No, it doesn't matter, that's fine. I just didn't know what was easier for you.
I think it's easier if we go around, that way people can remember if they signed them,
Okay.
yes or no.
This is for clarification for you.
Okay, okay. Make it hurry up, we've got a question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you all.
This is coming on.
Yeah, this is coming on.
Can I have this order?
Next one.
Yeah, 52.
Yeah.
52.
Thank you, ma'am. That's for mental health evaluations. They went way up because Lakeland's not doing them anymore.
While that document's going around, I'll start in on the next one. The next order of business is Circuit Court. We spoke to Judge Mount recently, as you all remember, and the cost of mental health evaluations for our court system has increased drastically, as has many things. So before us tonight is a request for an additional appropriation out of the general fund in the amount of $6,000. And it would be on ordinance 2024-52, requested by the Circuit Court of Scott County for mental health evaluations. I'll entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to do that.
Jonathan White has a motion to accept the additional appropriation.
I'll second it.
Lindy Hubens with a second. Any questions or comments from council members on this? No. All in favor? 6-0. These are not on my back.
Well, actually, shoot, I have one.
How are you, Brittany?
Good, how are you guys?
Good.
Alright, we have a grant application for, this is one that we've gotten for like 12 years for our preparedness. It's $42,374, $25,000 of that is base, and then the $17,374 is the CRI. And it's a reimbursable, so.
So the grant is a reimbursable grant, meaning the county spends the money and then it's required in the budget and then reimbursed by the state for, as Brittany said, total of $42,374. It's an ongoing grant we've had several times, has been approved by the Board of Commissioners, so I would entertain a motion to accept their grant application. John Collins has a motion, Jonathan White with a second. Any questions, comments from?
Yeah, I got, kind of a question to comment, does the money, that is, put forward by the county, is that county money, or is that your money? Coming out?
This is reimbursable, so no money's put forth by the county.
I see.
So we
Spent.
kind of spend it and then they pay us back, if that makes sense. So we send a claim and then the state sends that exact amount to the county.
So there's no actual money.
Essentially, we take an account, run it negative.
Pretty much it's a
and
negative,
then
yeah, until they
reimburse
pay us
that
back.
account.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep, and we turn in, monthly, we turn in things to the state to get reimbursed, so.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor? 6-0.
$53, the chip and seal.
I'll get you a copy of that too.
That'll
I
be
have a
great,
couple
thank you.
questions real quick.
Yeah.
This isn't anything that, how are you able to get the radios again?
We have the radios.
You have the radios?
Yeah,
Do you
I'm
know when
getting
you're gonna be advertising them?
No, we're trying to set up a clinic sometime in September to get those out.
And how are you doing on your Narcan? Are you doing okay with that?
Yep, we have plenty.
I was just curious.
Yep, we have plenty, we may need to
Good,
let us
good,
go.
but I'm glad you got the radios again.
Me too.
Those went like
They
the
went way faster than we thought they were, so it's a big need, so we got a bunch
the
of,
weather radios, they went in a day.
yeah, a few hours. They were in a few hours, so we got a bunch more.
I was like, holy
I'll let you know when we have more. Alright, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next up on the agenda is the highway department. Kevin's not here. No one here to represent that. Asking for ARPA funds for chip seal on ordinance 2024-53. This is an ordinance for an additional appropriation from the ARPA fund to the highway department in the amount of $430,000. Do we know what the plan is to do with this, or just?
I have not heard anything. We put that on the agenda. I thought maybe the interlocal agreement would go through, but I
That's
haven't
what I
seen
was
anything on that one, so.
Cause I thought this kinda went hand in hand with that.
Interlocal.
Yeah, well, I don't think we should vote on anything unless we have our attorney look at.
I haven't seen an interlocal grant.
We can. So, White has a question about tabling this, since we don't really have any information on it as of tonight. You wanna make a motion to table
Well, with what information we have right now, I'm gonna vote against it if I don't table
it? Right.
it. And I hate to have to start all over, so I'd like to make a motion to table it.
Alright, Jonathan White has a motion to table ordinance 2024-53, the request for the highway department. Anyone with a second?
I'll second it.
Diane Mullins has a second. Any comments or questions of tabling this? All in favor? Any opposed? 5-1 on that. Passes tabled. You wanna hold that one? 53.
Who voted to not table it? So it was Collins.
Next up on the agenda will be EMA with additional
You know
appropriation.
what, now, that was something that we did on July the 12th, and I think I was asleep or something.
Which one?
The EMA, both of them.
Okay.
The
We
20,000
actually
and the
handled those,
3,800?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was
so
gonna say, did he
those
get
don't need to be
more?
there.
Alright, scratch that.
Yeah,
The community corrections,
and that's the one that's actually not community corrections,
Yeah,
it's the
it's
holding.
for Iraq.
space, So,
It's the Iraq
that
one.
is.
Which-
54.
community
75.
correction, you're fine, you said. Community corrections does have one also, right?
They have a transfer.
It just, yeah,
Well, there is a 3,000.
it's a create a line item and a transfer. Amanda talked to me about it and had something going on tonight. I think it told her it was fine. I think that letter she sent explained it
If it's
pretty
an
well.
additional, it has not been
Advertised.
Don't think it is while she's
It
passing
doesn't need to
out.
be,
I don't
okay.
think, I think it's just a transfer. Did you
Give
look at
me
it?
2 seconds.
No,
we
there's
already
two
have
things.
some of
It's
that.
a
I made
line
it
item
less
for
confusing.
to go into. You still have to appropriate the grant,
Oh,
right?
God.
Well,
Yeah. think we can
Yeah.
appropriate the grant money because it goes in there, it's just not appropriated yet, so that's not advertised.
That's
Yeah.
not advertised.
Nothing, there's her letter, actually.
Yeah, so
I mean-
this needs a resolution, this, you can do a
Right.
voice,
That's what
a
I
voice line transfer, but then you have to appropriate the grant fund out of there.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
Sorry about that. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
How's things going?
Good,
All
good,
right.
good. So I'm Kelly Hans, some of you guys might not know me with Holding Space Recovery Project. Holding Space has recently taken over the, IRAX team that's in our Scott County Jail. And our new, cycle has started. So I'm requesting, $75,065.12. The state is paying, the state being, the governor's office, DMHA, is paying $250,000, $217,008. So that will bring our total budget to the 325. I kind of did a breakdown of how that money will be spent. All of the total of the money will be spent in there. And I just added like this little trifold of, I don't know if everybody's aware of what our IRAX program is. It stands for Integrated Reentry and Correctional Support. So we have a team of peers that works inside of the jail. We work with them day one, when they come in there. It's voluntary, so nobody's forced to do it, and they begin working with our team. It doesn't matter how long they're in there, and our goal is to work for reentry, right? So we work on recovery plans. Do they want to go to treatment? Do they need a birth certificate, an ID, any of those things as they are re-entering back out? And then we have a re-entry peer that meets them at the door and helps them. If they're going to treatment, they transport them directly to treatment. And then they follow them for that 30 days, and then we have a community peer that will continue to follow them for as long as they need to be followed, just to make sure that their reentry process is good.
And we have that currently.
We have that currently. It actually started in 2022, June of 2022, and it has always been under Thrive. And this year, the contract, we moved it
Goes
from.
to you guys.
Correct. So it's the same team, half of them are sitting back there. And the team that had been in there that was working for Thrive actually came over to Holding Space. So they're, it's the same team. The jail's used to us, the participants are used to us. It just, everything moved underneath Holding Space.
How does it seem to be working?
It's going great. We went back in, there was a 2-week gap in service from moving from Thrive over to Holding Space, so we went back in on the 15th, we had to do intakes on everybody again, but, I mean, it's going well. All the intakes are done in our groups. We do Matrix, group, and then a RAP group, and our groups launched last Monday again, so, other than the 2 weeks out, and we hear that we were missed in that 2 weeks that we were gone, and, so, but other than that 2 weeks, it's just been a smooth transition.
Good.
Well, I personally like the fact that it's local, it's in Scott County, and our money's paying Scott County to stay in Scott County. I understand people have to go for treatment other places, but primarily it is here. Do you care if we meet your team?
No, there's part of them here, so this is Lisa Webster, she's our reentry peer. And then there's, Lindsay Huff, and she's our supervisor for the,
We know that next.
and then this is just part of the team by default. We all,
By default.
by default, they're just stuck with us.
I understand. Well, it's nice to meet you guys, and thank you all for being here. On behalf of the council, I would say I'm excited to see this happen and for you guys and to be here in the county. So, before us is ordinance 2024-54, and it is a request for an additional appropriation through the restricted opioid settlement for Holding Space Recovery Project in the amount of $75,065.12. I would entertain a motion.
I'd like to make that motion.
I move.
So we'll wipe the motion and Diane with the second. Everybody jumping at it tonight. Any questions or comments from the council members? Nope. All in favor? 600.
You're on the line, job,
Yep.
something needs done in this county.
Thank
sorry.
you. There is one thing, when we talked
she
about this with
says
the commissioners,
That we received a C's grant for $3,000.
they just requested, and I feel like you guys are putting in money, we're gonna start sending like a kind of a monthly report. They want that,
And it
so
was
if
put
we
in a
just
direct
send numbers
grant
maybe
account.
into
Is that
her,
right?
or I'll get all of your
We
guys'
see a
emails, so then you
transfer
can just
then,
kinda
right?
keep up with us
Because
and
she
what we're
says create a
doing
line
and
transfer
see the numbers
from
as we go from month to month.
9670 to the new
I don't wanna blow up your
line, right?
email, but,
We're
we're
always
willing to
welcome
do
to-
that.
way.
You're always
Additional
welcome to
for
bring here at any time, but
I
yes,
think
that
we
would.
can, if it's
That'd
already
be
in
great
it,
to just see
If it's
kinda
already
how
in the
things are
fund.
developing along and
Thank you
keep up
very
then
with
we
you
just need a
guys.
resolution to
Thank you very
transfer it to
much.
the new
Have a good
line.
night.
I'd like to see that you have my phone number, cause I don't do a whole lot.
Yeah, you could probably put in a resolution that a line is created and
Do you have, here,
He don't answer, I called him 3 times yesterday.
Okay, the line creation. You
Okay.
don't have to do that separate.
yeah, that's fine. I just wasn't.
How are you,
my
sir?
number's on here.
Sure.
That's a little bit when you need to go, but
Yeah.
you're saying, you're gonna appropriate or you're gonna transfer it, really saying you're gonna do it.
Right, right. But you have to create the line because you have to have a number, right? So, okay. Yeah, whatever, however you wanna do, but I think we can just transfer it if it's already in an account.
If you think we can, that's what we'll do.
Well, because we don't have to appropriate it out of there, right? It's already in here.
First ever anything I can do to help.
Is it already appropriated out of there?
752-9008.
Because we might have to appropriate out of the new line.
Well, you have my.
I think we should be better to say, because we're gonna have to do 3 things, so we're gonna have to create the line, we're gonna have to transfer from 9670 to the new line, and then we're gonna have to appropriate out of that line, I think is what we're gonna do. Because if it's not appropriated, it's a new line, so it
I
can't
wouldn't
be
pick on him, I
appropriated.
didn't like it. That's why I leave Nick alone.
So I just need a resolution. I think we just need a resolution to transfer to the new line item, and then we'll have to advertise it for appropriation next time.
As always, the financial information's up top. We had a really, really good financial
Everyone-
good, month
Just think that through.
in July. It says August, but it should say July. We finished at 237, which is the highest month we've had yet. Training's up to 20,000, paramedics just shy of 68. That puts us at a total year-to-date of 1.52. And year-to-date, or date-to-date, right now, our cash ledger is sitting at just over $1 million. So, August, we had 483 911 calls for service and an additional 82 community care medicine calls. So we did 565 runs last month, which is insane. And that has been trending that way for the last 4 to 5 months. So some of that got worked out. We're expecting 1 now delivered in December instead of this month, so that's helpful. And then the other one's still slated for May to July of next year. So that's where we're at on those.
Let's give them about pushed out as far as bill.
Yeah. And the reason so far is still, relatively close, cause these were ones that the company ordered anyway, and we don't have any say-so of what happens to them. They're called demo trucks. If we were to order with them and say, this is how I want this cabinet or whatever, we're looking at 24 to 36 months. So, still a lot quicker than building one, but it kind of, it makes it hard to replicate trucks. Cause you kinda have to take what they get or wait 3 years. So, first thing I'm here for is a line item transfer from 1170. It's from 1170-12-600, which is my perf line, to 1170-33-400. Reason I'm asking just for a request for the transfer is because it's out of series line, it's going from
I've
11,000
changed
to
that since I
3,000
sent that to
series.
you. I'm sorry, because we found that out last minute. So
Yes, we
this
just
one
found
I
that
say-
out yesterday, found out
Well,
that
you
appear-
found out, but I didn't get from Kalen, I don't
Oh,
think you
yeah.
got it until late in the day, so I had sent them one that said 7,000.
Yep, that was our fault on the.
No, it wasn't, it just, we got behind.
But found out, I guess, Workman's Comp did an
Cause
audit
he's like, that's not gonna cover that.
and found out that the county of Oregon owes more money, and this is my portion, so. Go me.
I think this is a common theme, it's not the first one that we've seen by any means, and I would venture to say it's not gonna be the last for the council, but some of the larger departments are being hit with major increases in insurance-related items, so.
Well, it's probably not actually the invoice as much as it is you just got more hours. Yeah.
You have relatively the same amount of employees though. as
Yeah, my
last
employee
year.
count hasn't changed, cause workman's comp, I mean, my part-time pool fluctuates, but nothing,
Right.
like I don't go from 30 to 90 or anything crazy.
So, the line item is on a resolution 2024 number 6, and it's a resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget classifications. As Nick explained, it would come from his 1170 fund, the perf line, into the 1170 fund, ambulance service, workman's compensation, insurance, and the total amount would be, is it on here?
7,800.
It's 78, yeah, 7,800 total would be the request. Any questions or comments or a
Make
motion?
a motion to make it transfer.
White with a motion to transfer,
Second.
Lindy with a second.
I'll ask a question.
Alright, absolutely.
You know, just kind of put it in a nutshell, just their average person would think, you get insurance for a year, a contract, you know, first year, at the end of the year, contract X dollars, you pay X dollars, you get X coverage. You have any idea why that changes, or?
This is a balloon policy for the county, so I don't know. Like, I don't have a specific workman's comp. This is like the entire county's as a whole, from my understanding.
It is.
And my portion was broke down to that. So I don't get to shop workman's comp. I'm told what or what.
I see, okay.
And
And
that's, go ahead, sorry.
Actually, what I was told, cause I called Richie and asked him about that, and what it is the hours, how much pay they make. And we had departments that went up, we had departments that went down. And when they broke yours out, it actually would have been higher, but you benefited from the rest of the county not basically being paid as much, so that's why it went to you.
Yeah, and I know that my hours are an issue right now because we're running 4 and 5 trucks every day, so I know the hours are.
65 calls a month, that's,
18 calls a day,
well, that's one I understand.
and that's on a slow day.
Also, it's when you get audited.
So we will, we should expect
Other departments. to
other
be-
departments or the county as a whole, and since the policy is set up this way, for this type of stuff to continue.
Probably,
That's just,
based on hours worked, and
that's just the way it is.
like Nick says, he has a lot of overtime.
So
This-
workman's comp is based on your payroll, so if you have more people doing overtime, if you're hiring more people, what they do is they come in and they audit for that, whatever that year is, and so you have to, as a company or as a department, have to present your payroll and what you did in that time frame. Then what they do is they look at, what are your claims? And then they audit that. And so if you have more payroll than what you originally told them you were going to have, well, you've got to pay for that coverage, because then those extra people or that extra payroll wouldn't be covered in the workman's comp.
I see. Just a,
Yeah, that's above my,
kind of common sense question, I wouldn't have known that.
yeah, I wouldn't have either. That's one of those line items that I just get told what I'm paying
Yeah.
and don't get to bucket
So
out.
my other question is, you're just, each department is just automatically responsible for their portion, and they have to get it out of their budget.
I think me, highway and sheriff are responsible for our own, and then
I
the
think
rest
others
comes
are
out of general.
Lumped together and like a
Yes.
county employee, the others are, but only, like the 3 biggest departments being EMS, highway, and sheriff, pay their own
We
out
pay
of their
our
own budget line items.
Goodness, so you're hired, or some, or we voted for it to be.
I think we put it.
I've been voluntold.
Yeah.
I've been voluntold.
Okay,
I mean,
end of question.
Cause that's one of the items that we commonly refer to, that he's not allowed to shop on his own, it's,
Can you?
the county enters into an
Well, I
agreement.
mean, I didn't wanna open all that stuff up, but I just wanted to kinda get a halfway idea that it's
Yeah.
pretty standard.
Yeah.
And people should know, we should know, so.
Do you have a question?
I was asking if he can afford to lose that much out of his perf. Or are we gonna have to replace that back in?
it's gonna be close, and by close, I mean dollars. I marched out what my perf has been, did an average over the week that we're in transfer. I mean,
I
we're,
think you're gonna be okay.
yeah, we're right here. I mean, if it is, it might be an additional appropriation of a couple $100 at the end of the year. We're not talking tens of thousands or anything crazy. It'll be, I think I'm at 51% utilization on that line right now, or 55, and I think we're like 57 through the year. So like I'm saying, I'm right on that cusp of that perf.
I just didn't wanna create a problem.
Jennifer, I did make a
I'm hoping
amendment
it
to your
doesn't, but I can't promise
resolution
it.
page. It said Scott County Health Department
Oh,
Director, so
sorry,
we
okay.
made it EMS.
You might wanna change it on the next one too.
Yeah.
But we do have a motion on the floor to accept, and if there's no other questions or comments, all in favor? Any opposed? No. 6-0 on that one.
Second thing I'm asking for is, I don't know if this should be verged a line item transfer as much as it should be a fund transfer. How should I, Miss Attorney?
Is it?
Resolution for transfer between major budget classifications.
Yeah. it's
So-
just a transfer.
At the beginning of the year, we were depositing our paramedic money into 1151, and then in April or whatever.
Yeah.
In April or whatever, we created that own paramedic fund of a different fund number. That way we can do the same thing with the paramedic program that we do with my budget.
Same thing.
The problem was, before that fund got set up, we took in $28,700. I'm trying to prepare for budget time to see if I can move that $28,700 from 1151 into 8911, which is
This
another
isn't the same
fund,
thing.
to make sure that's got money into it to fund
Well, they told me
the new
we
paramedic
have
class
to
next year,
28,700.
after this one finishes. So that's, if
Well,
not,
this is for
we'll collect the money and we'll deal
$2,000.
with it then.
This, he says
I
you
don't
asked
know
for
that this is a
28,700.
pressing issue as much as it was just trying to get ahead of
I
the
got
ball.
the wrong one.
So if that's something you'd like to think about to
So
clarify,
this will be
I'm
7.
completely fine with that.
Yes.
It's not an urgent need. It's not gonna cause any,
Yes.
hiccups right now. I know that come budget time, we're gonna be dependent on enough money being in there to fund the next program, because we're gonna have 2 paramedic funding next year. One of them, a small amount, will be out of 1170, because we have to continue that the way that COAM's and KF, because it'll be finishing this one. And then the new program that'll start towards the end of the year is where
That
I
one.
will be completely self-sufficient with it. I'm just trying to make sure there's money in there come budget time, that it can be revolving.
Which I think if you guys remember at budget for 24, we talked to Nick about, we funded paramedic program and then to see if it would generate enough funds along with his to self-sustain, and that was the overall goal. And I think he's there. He's at, 67,000 like he's reported to us. It was around 90 to run it, right?
79 or 89, yeah.
So, I think this, in my opinion, I think this transfer would be a good move, to allow him to have some money in that account to get that program going and keep it off of the tax roll, which is what ultimately our goal is for him. So,
I'm
And
not
he's
in
very
favor of
close to that.
very, very close,
Very
yes,
close to that goal.
yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're not there yet, but we're making progress. But
So with that, we have a resolution 2024 number 7, which would be a resolution to transfer appropriations between major budget classifications, the $28,700 from 1151 ambulance service to 8911 paramedic program. I would entertain a motion to accept that.
I'd make a motion to transfer the 28,700 into the other line item for work.
From ambulance service to paramedic. Alright, Jonathan White with a motion to accept the transfer.
Second.
Diane with the second. Any questions or comments on this? All in favor? 6-0.
did you have that grant application?
Yes, I do.
That would just save you.
Correct. I was just trying to get ahead of it now while I was here. I'm trying to appease Mr. Collins and make a meeting, or have a month that I don't have to be here, so Just, I'm trying. Next thing is a grant application. IDOH, Indiana Department of Health, has a very open-ended grant that's out there right now. There's no real deadline on it. There's no real information on it, except it's an open grant. It was supposed to end at the beginning of this year, but there's still like $2.5 million or something sitting out there, so they've kept it open. We know that it's an advance to us. It's not a match or anything like that. It's an advance grant, but beyond that, we don't know. So, we've applied for it. We've applied for $150,000. My goal with that, it's a trauma grant. My goal with that was to, after we upstart, hopefully the blood this year, that grant can pay for it next year, whatever the case might be. So, that's all that this is. There is no county match. There is no match on my part. It's just a grant application.
I'd entertain a motion to accept the grant application request.
I'd make a motion to accept that.
Johnson White, motion to accept the grant application request to Indiana Department of Health for $150,000. A second. Diane, you gonna second? Any questions or comments? All in favor of his grant application request? Alrighty. Let's go back to you.
And I'll scan it and send it to you tonight.
We're gonna talk about it.
Okay, not the bad news. So, I completely forgot about, the lit, appropriation, that's my fault. However, I would ask to have a discussion, table that, or deny that due to some other stuff that's going on. I mean, I'll take the extra 55, don't get me wrong, I'm just trying not to be greedy right now. So we have two issues. Number one is my group insurance is at 80% utilization for the year. And my employee number hasn't changed. I checked with Trina 2 days ago, and the same amount of employees that were on insurance last year are on insurance this year. I've not added or removed any. And we are burning through it. And then I got with Mandy, and apparently we're not the only department in this situation. That the group insurance is one of the 4 accounts that I have that currently comes out of 1170 that the county pays for through LIT, and that's group insurance, workman's comp, PERF, and ambulance billing. Those are the 4 that come out of LIT for me. I'm at 80% utilization and we're in August. So I'm gonna be about $55,000 short on, give or take, on insurance. Then additionally, which I talked to Mr. Ward here, and I know when we did budget time last year, we knew that the ambulance billing is always throwing a dart at a dartboard because it's all dependent on our revenue. Fortunately and unfortunately, we're projected to hit almost $2.5 million in income this year. Downfall, that costs me a lot more money to pay the billing company. I am currently negative $230.91 in that. And I have 5 months to go. We are averaging around $16,975 a month for our billing fee. So that's gonna be like another $95,000.
Is that, I know you've explained this before, but the billing's based on how much they bill, or is it a flat fee?
The billing is based on how much they bill and revenue they receive. So the more money they receive, the more money they keep, or the more money they bill us for. So if we bill for they collect 230,000, right now they keep 5.75% of that, and then they bill me $1 a run. I have since changed charting software. We go live September 1st. Due to the hospital in the county's change to ownership has, and it's no through fault of their own, just the way that they document things has caused issues obtaining patient demographics. and the charting software that I switch to links with their charting software. So if we can't obtain the demographics, our billing department can. So that changes our rates now from 5.75% plus $1 a run down to 5.25% flat fee of billables and collectibles. But there's then a $12,000 fee a year for that software, which is still gonna save us money long-term. 0.25%, 0.5% on $2.5 million is more than that. So long run, it'll be beneficial. But, so I can see this 16,975 maybe coming down a little bit, but we're not going from 16 or 17,000 to 10,000, where we might go to 15.5, you know. But unfortunately, that's not a dollar figure I can control. I've shopped around for ambulance, and I mean, I know some of them go up to 10%, and some of them go as low as, 4.5% or 5%, but then they charge more per run. We have been with this company for a long time. I used this company when I was in charge somewhere else. They're good to work with. They're based out of Indiana, and I trust a lot of them up there. But
So the new one doesn't charge per run?
it's
just
the same
pay.
billing company. It's a different charting software.
Gotcha.
So it's the same billing company, just a new charting software. And due to the way that the chart is built out, they don't charge that $1 a run.
The question I have on our group insurance, and Jennifer, you may know this, you may not. Is that an annual contract? And if so, why are we in July and all of a sudden?
I know that when I talked to Trina, I think I'm budgeted $160,000 this year. It comes out each payroll.
Right.
But I know, and this was the issue that I had brought up during budget time, is we knew that we were talking about insurance at the time, and I don't think we ever solidified it until after the first of the year, maybe, or somewhere around the end of the year.
It's close to the
Yeah,
first,
I think it was at the end of the year. We're just shooting in the dark on that. I can't shop insurance. I don't get a voice in it. I don't know what it is. I just know I get told this is your portion. And it's,
I guess the question before us tonight is,
I mean, like I said, I would gladly say I need this money and I'll take the 55,000
Right.
for the vehicle. I'm just not trying to be greedy.
the advertised is the 55 that was on the agenda, for that vehicle purchase, like you had brought up. But, I mean, I understand Nick's point too, and we're shopping in lit, which isn't real deep right now. I don't think it's pretty well.
right now our cash balance is 122, but we bring in about 208,000 around the, I don't know if it's the 8th of the month, somewhere along
In that
It's like this beginning of the second week
that.
typically.
Yeah, something like that. 122.
122,000. So if you
But
took
we get that 200,
50 out of
whatever
that and
monthly,
turn
right?
around
Yeah,
and get it for
yeah,
another
like I said,
80,
we got 200.
even if you had
And-
200 years.
In the packet there, I think I left you guys with a spreadsheet that kind of shows. Yeah, now, this is the way Deandra started it a while ago, or back when she was here. If you look, let's see here, with public safety, this number at the bottom, the 202,744.90, that would be what she estimated we would get, what we have spent, and that's what we think toward the end of the year. And I think that's a little bit conservative number, the 202 is what we should have left.
That's what we'll end up with.
Yeah, that would be with taking that out.
The 55.
How do you intend on funding that trip if you're not funding that?
It's already paid for out of my budget. I mean,
So 202 would, after 55, and then we'll need the workers' comp.
Okay,
Yeah.
there.
And
it's cleared my bank because we initially did the advertisement out of 1151, so we took it out of my bank account, added
Take that
it
out
to
before
my
they remit.
my
Give you a more accurate
budget,
description
and
of
then
how
I
much
just
he's
spent it
actually
back out of
making.
there. So, I
He's
mean,
making
technically,
2
right
million,
now,
he's
I've already
paying
paid for the vehicle out of 1151,
Billing fees.
and I still have
We're paying the billing fees. He's
$1 million in the
Right.
bank. I mean,
not something I fix right now.
I know that sounds like a lot of money, and believe me, I'm super happy with where we're at. We're $500,000 above where we started the year at, 2 years ago. It's just, we have that truck, we have 2 trucks on loan, and I have monitors on payment. Like then, those are things that we can't avoid. Right now, I'm sitting pretty, but we're extremely dependent on our run volume for revenue.
Is this something we need to address tonight, or we can't?
So
We
the only
can't
thing-
address
The
tonight,
only
I'm just
thing we
letting you
can
know.
address tonight is whether or not the $55,000 is given to Nick out of lit or tabled for a later talk. But from him coming to us is saying, in September, I'm going to be requesting 85,000 out of lit for ambulance billing, which we all know from budgets that usually runs short, and we have to do something with that.
And then the same thing
Usually
with
it's not
insurance.
to that amount of money, but we've also had a drastic increase in volume of ambulances ran. And then on group insurance, that, my fear with that is if he's not the only, by far not the only department, are we gonna get
I've talked
hit
to two
with
department heads,
a
and
bunch
they
of
are in the
others?
same boat around that 75 to 80% utilization
So-
already. And
maybe,
again,
I
that's,
don't understand why we don't have insurance locked in a year at a time before budget. That makes zero sense. You cannot budget for something when, like you said, throwing darts. I
Right.
just don't
I
understand that.
don't think on health insurance, they actually, I think they want to hold off until the 1st of November to give you prices.
Health
So they can-
insurance is different
Yeah.
than regular insurance.
they try to wait till the last minute before they quote you to see how many claims or whatever you've had in a year.
Cause you stop and think, people have their medical stuff done toward the end of the year when they're trying to make that
Deductibles met and they
deductible.
start hammering it. So the reason that I brought all that up was to say I'd love to sit here and accept $55,000 from you for that vehicle, but I think it would be,
I appreciate it.
I think it'd be asinine for me to do that and then come back and then request another 150,000. So I'm just being transparent. I don't wanna accept that and then hit you guys next month.
So are you withdrawing it, or what are you doing?
I'd like to either table it, withdraw it, you guys can deny it, I'm indifferent, but I think at this point, we just need to call it a wash and move on, because I feel like I have other issues with my ambulance billing and my insurance that are two things that are, the vehicle's in my control. Those two things are out of my control. I chose to buy a vehicle, I'll pay for it. That's where I lie.
So let's
So-
just make a motion to go ahead and put it to a vote and then just deny it.
Well, the problem with that is if you deny it, it goes away, it has to be re-advertised if at some point we get to a point where
we have
we have
55,000.
I'll just tell you,
55.
I'd rather, I wanted the vehicle, we replace my vehicle, I'll pay for the vehicle, I'd rather you guys just deny it, if I'm being fully transparent.
I'd like to
Just
make a
remove your
motion that we, just don't buy the truck then.
Don't fund it, I already bought it.
Don't fund
it.
We don't-
I already bought it.
Yeah, we
Don't fund it from lit.
Yes.
I'll second it.
So a motion on the table for, is there a resolution on that?
There is an ordinance.
Ordinance. So it would be on ordinance 2024-55 for an additional appropriation for the 55,000. Motion by Jonathan White, a second by Collins. Any in favor of it? All opposed?
Oh, wait, we're opposing it.
Opposed.
You're opposing the ordinance, opposing the ocean ordinance.
This is a good no.
6-0. So we're opposing that.
You're gonna be nays.
0 seconds, right?
Yeah, is there?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You're right.
So like I said, I'd love that, but I'm just,
I know his
That'll
motion
clear
did
that
not match what he was actually doing.
No, I think I.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
His motion was to deny it, but we voted on the ordinance, just vote nay on the
Just
ordinance.
to say nay.
Yeah.
That way it clears it up and we're done. Alright,
First time I've ever been asked. Not
a couple things that cleared. You got anything?
Here are the two, we got the special and the regular minutes.
We didn't do community
we
corrections.
initially
Knock it out.
advertised it to come out of my fund, 11.
Well, hey, on this
It was
first
brought up
one,
last meeting.
so
for
the money's
county
sitting
to
in
I
help
didn't have it on there.
Pay for
so we
something
need to
that's
create a
something that would help me
line,
next
and
year.
then we need to transfer that,
So
she's
I've
gonna
already
do a
bought the vehicle out of
resolution
EMS account.
into that line, and then we'll have to do an
I'm asking-
appropriation
I
of
asked you
that
guys to
line.
deny
Does that
the
make
county
sense?
paying for
Because we
it.
don't have, that it's not advertised, so we'll have to do
I've
an
got
appropriation.
create the line
Umbrella
tonight.
policies.
Create the
that I
line, and
can't
then can you do a
control that
resolution real
on
quick
the hook.
for the
County's
transfer,
on.
or you wanna, we can do it
So
when
I
we
don't wanna
appropriate,
double
because we
dip.
gotta come back out
I see,
appropriate.
I see what you're saying.
So we can just create the line, do a resolution to transfer from the 9670 to the new line that we create tonight by resolution, and then do advertise it for appropriation out of the new line. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're just gonna create the line on this one tonight, and then did you do the
There's
resolution
these
for
here
the
if you
seminar?
want them.
So that's
But,
resolution eight.
I forgot to bring that
So
up,
we're
just so
just
you
gonna
guys
create a
can see
line
where my
here,
spending's at.
and then
If
we're
you're
gonna do
interested,
transfer
cool,
here.
if not, you can make a paper airplane, I guess.
And the resolutions for the transfer. You're gonna be in nine.
There you go.
Thanks, Nick.
You're gonna be in
Yeah, sure.
nine.
But you can see the accounts on there.
While you're all digesting that, I'm gonna run through one other item that didn't make it on the agenda really correctly in the right way, but it is on there. It's community corrections. It was just stuck with the IRACs thing, and it should be something separate. Amanda from Community Corrections reached out to me and talked to me about, her apologies for not being able to be here. She had another event she had to be at tonight, but Community Corrections, as we all know, often answers to the Community Corrections Board. And so they sent their apologies that they received or applied for a grant and she didn't understand the process or whatever, to come to us. They took it to their board, the board agreed, they applied for it, they received the grant of $3,000 from CEAS to help cover evidence-based trainings for them. So that $3,000 has been brought into her drug-free grant account. So what they need us to do, if we agree, would be to create a new line item for this grant to be accepted into her coffers of money. And then later Jennifer will type up a resolution and we'll appropriate the money from where it's at currently to that line item as created if you so choose. And then secondly, she would like to transfer some money between separate line items within their own budget of grant funding for $2,000 from their training and seminars to wearing and apparel, and that would cover the purchase of 3 new bulletproof vests for them that are outdated at, I think, the end of this year is what she said. So that would be a separate item we'll have to talk about here in just a second, but we can do the transfer tonight. We can create the line item tonight. The appropriation of the funds would have to be probably September meeting.
We'll have to do two things. We'll have to transfer from the fund she currently has it into the new line we're creating tonight, and then we'll have to advertise for appropriation out of that new fund too. So that'll come, those two items will come, the transfer and the appropriation will come in September.
Yeah, so just so you guys know what's going on, and again, she was sorry she couldn't be here and sent apologies that the grant came about this way because the current processes come to us first and she kind of skipped that part, so. I understand, I get it. She answers primarily to a board and it's a little bit different. So first, if you guys are okay with it, I would like to do the, resolution 2024 number 8, which would be the transfer, moving $2,000 from her training and seminars into wearing and apparel portion of their budget to cover the purchase of their bulletproof vest, so we could get that hopefully taken care of for them.
I'd make a motion to do that.
Alright, so a motion from Johnny White, a second from Lindy on that. Any questions or comments regarding that transfer? All in favor? 6-0 on that. And then, like I said, the only thing we can really do is we can go ahead and create that line item if you so choose. I would entertain a motion to create a line item within her budget to accept the $3,000 grant that they've been awarded.
Make that motion.
So John Collins has made a motion to create a line item within her budget.
I'll second.
Lindy has a second. All in favor of that? 6-0 on that. So we'll get that created for her and then
Turn my paper back.
we'll put her on, on the agenda for September, right?
You'll need a resolution, ordinance, and then advertise it.
And that kind of brings up something I'd like to talk about if we got a second. Grant applications. What's your all's feelings on maybe we change the way the council's done it? I think, and our attorney can chime in, as I haven't even talked to her about this, but in my opinion, if it's a non-matching grant or a grant in which the county doesn't have to put forth any money like what Nick brought, I would almost suffice with just notification to the council rather than coming here and sitting and waiting. Because sometimes we miss opportunities on grants by making them come sit before us. Now, if it requires county money or, match or whatever from the county, then I think, yeah, we still need to come in and maybe talk about it, but otherwise, if we could get, can you type something up on that, or Jennifer or somebody, we can maybe
I can-
make that change to our,
I can do a resolution, and I wanna look into the statutes, just to make sure. I know that some grants will require the county executive or fiscal body to sign off, especially if it's matching. Some will just do it just because they wanna make sure that everybody's behind it, but I don't know of any statutory reason, but I'll look into it. So I'll do that, and I'll draft a resolution.
alright.
I'll email myself
I
right
just
now.
think that would clean up some issues like with the one Nick has. I mean, if he can apply for $150,000 grant, I don't know that anybody in their right mind with no match, no money out of the county in their right mind is gonna sit here and say no, so why prolong that process on our behalf
Well,
until
it
the
gives
next
them
month?
empowerment to be able to do it on their own. I mean, by all means, if it's something that we would have to match or whatever, I see where we would need to be involved, but if they're just gonna be doing it and let them have that empowerment to do it.
Because then we would just, if we get it, we'd have to come to you for a fund acceptance.
Right.
And then a line distribution.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as I'm
Line
concerned,
and appropriation of it.
we could just, like the one you had, you could simply shoot me an email and I'll notify everybody that you've applied for a grant. It's something as simple as that if need be, but if there's statutory reason we can't or whatever, we'll revisit that maybe in September, see about making that change to make things easier. On the next up on the agenda is a consideration of minutes. Does anybody get a chance to read through minutes?
I move we approve.
Both sets, the regular. John Collins has a motion to accept minutes as written. Any other second?
second.
Lindy has a second on that. Any questions or comments regarding the minutes? All in favor? 6-0. Do we have any update on budget hearings?
No,
Alright,
I do not.
do you want me to start reaching out to department heads to get some of those set, or
No, I'll
what
handle that.
what are we gonna do? Cause I feel like we're kinda behind
We are
the ball.
behind, and I've got some things I've gotta get done first, so when I get that done, I'll notify you.
Any idea of timeline on it?
I really don't, we're probably looking at toward the end of September right now.
Which is gonna put us tight again on
Mhm.
budgets.
I agree, and we're behind, I know that, so.
Is there any way that we could maybe set times with the department heads as a council and just have them come in so we kind of know where they're thinking even before you kind of set the budget hearing?
I'd
So
rather get the paperwork all collected first. I'm not even there yet, so.
Alright, maybe an update at the September meeting?
Yeah, I'll have something there.
What
And
about,
possibly even before.
do we know our, like, usually we have what we're expected to take in from the state and all that, do we have that
I
yet?
don't even have that put together yet.
Is there a reason why they couldn't, take last year's budgets and meet, I mean, they're free to meet with the department heads, right, and just talk about what they're
If they
looking
wanna
at?
set that,
or
yeah,
just not have the Form 3, you don't have the Form 3s yet, right?
no,
So, I mean, they're free to go talk to the department heads if they want, they just not have your Form 3, right?
yeah, as long as it's not a meeting, I guess.
Well, no, I meant individually.
Yeah.
Usually most
Yeah.
counties break it up and say, okay, this member's gonna take these two departments, this
Yeah.
member, sometimes they work in teams, these two people are gonna meet with the sheriff and the EMS, and these people are gonna meet with the auditor, the clerk, the treasurer. Just sort of get an idea, go over last year's budget with them, see where they're gonna need more, see where their additional appropriations were, are we being realistic, and sort of give them an idea, cause I feel like if we're gonna be so behind with having to do a public meeting, and if there's changes, at least give them an idea of where we're gonna be at before we get to the Form 3s and meeting with you and, hey, this is what we need.
Yeah,
So, I mean, you guys are free to do that, I mean, you can meet with budget heads. I think Jennifer's just saying she's not ready
I'm
to,
not ready for that,
to
yeah.
sit down with their Form 3 of what they want this
Yeah.
current year, but you guys can get an idea and talk about what's realistic, what's not.
do you have any idea when we'll know, like, what our expected,
As soon as I can
Income
figure it
will.
out. I'll be honest with you, I've been so far behind, I was typing these minutes last night in an executive meeting, so.
alright. Alright,
Too much
does anybody
to-
have anything
Yeah,
else
yeah.
in the meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion to
I'll make a
adjourn.
motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Linda with a second, all in favor? 6-0. We gotta sign these minutes,
Plan, Stan.
we gotta sign minutes.
Hey, don't forget to stop and sign the minutes down here, guys.
If we decide to split, like, in pairs,
That's probably what I think would cover the most ground.
I gotta find that. I gotta find